Greetings Mechwarriors, my name is TTB and this is the radar and minimap guide for Mechwarrior Online. If you want to catch me live, twitch.tv/therealttb. We're basically live every day on the week, so if you have any questions about the game or want to give out any comments or just say hi, join us there. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into the guide. In this video, I'm going to showcase how the radar works in Mechwarrior Online and how the minimap works in Mechwarrior Online. I've chosen this as my first guide to make because the radar and the minimap are much underutilized in the game. A lot of people just don't use it correctly, and that takes them unawares and that makes them lose matches and get shot in the face. So with this guide, you will be able to identify targets much more easily, you will be able to read the map properly, you will be able to use all those tools to your advantage. Let's get started by jumping into our mech here. So I've chosen this map right here, it's just training grounds, in order to show you a couple of things. The first thing, let's talk about how the radar works. The radar is that thing here in the bottom middle of your screen. It's showcasing the current surroundings on a smaller map. If you press the B button, by default you open up the battle grid, which is basically the minimap of your whole combat zone. The red border is the border of the area of engagement. If you go outside of this, you are out of bounds, and if you don't return within a couple of seconds, poof goes the mech and you're dead. Alright, now how does the radar actually work? The radar will showcase targets that your mech can see to yourself, and if you do certain things, then those targets will also be broadcast to your teammates. So it's kind of like an overview of the battlefield, but also sharing intelligence in real time with your teammates without having to do anything. Now, the radar sees targets when they are within radar range. By default, that is 800 meters. To get an idea of what 800 meters are, look at your crosshair. There's a little distance counter built in. So for example, if I point over to this little rock in the distance, that is 1143 meters right now. So that will give you an idea of how far you can see without any additional helpies or without any additional skills. So let me show you how you and your mech see targets. To our right, I know there is a Centurion standing around. He is right there, and we're going to try and see when it actually comes into our radar range, when our mech can actually see this target on the radar. So I'm going to turn very slowly until he shows up. Any second now. You also get an audio cue for that your radar sees a new target. There we go, there's the audio cue. And it actually automatically targeted the Centurion over to the side. There he is. Now the funny thing is here, we could just see him right about there. If I turn a little bit further, he should disappear again. But if you use your head, literally, by looking, control button, to the right hand side, all of a sudden you can see it. So the radar is based on what you can see at an angle. So keep that in mind when you're looking around. That might help you to detect targets that your mech specifically wouldn't see if you're just looking straight ahead with your arms locked or arms unlocked, it doesn't matter. So use this function liberally in matches. Now, as I said, the base radar range is 800 meters. That is influenced by quirks and skill trees. This mech doesn't have Beagle Active Probe. This mech doesn't have any skill points in the sensor tree. So I know that there's an awesome over there. It's probably really hard to see for you guys. Distance 850 meters. Note that the radar doesn't see it. If I go a little bit closer, 830, 805, 799. And it's picked up. There is the awesome. 791 meters right now. So as you can see, that is the maximum radar range that your radar will pick targets up at. Now, when you go ahead and you see something on your radar, either that means that you see the target, or somebody on your team sees the target and has locked that target. What do I mean by locked target? Press the R button.
Target acquired.
This. You will see the filled out triangle over the target. That means it's your current target, and you will also, after some time, see the mech information on the top right hand side of your HUD, the mech paper doll. So, very important guys, if you do not lock the target, you might see it on your radar, but as long as it's not locked, your teammates don't see it. So if you are a scout mech and you're running into a group of enemy mechs, press R very quickly and that will showcase to your team that there's a lot of enemies there, because there are going to be a lot of blips coming up on their radar. Bing, 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 bing. So always make sure to lock your targets so that information gets shared automatically with your teammates. Now, what also can happen, and this is an advanced tip, a lot of experienced Mechwarrior Online players that have played this game for years don't know about this. You can mark targets on the radar even if you can't lock it. That awesome right now, he's too far away, I can't lock him. Yeah? But if you use just a normal command wheel, you know, the stuff that you can use, for example, to, hang on, let me just quickly relinquish command here to bring up the normal command wheel. Here, need help, sorry, thank you, negative, affirmative, or enemy spotted. You can use enemy spotted if you have a target locked, and that will put an additional marker on the target that you're looking at. And an added benefit, even if you lose that target lock, that enemy spotted lock, that information blip on the radar, will remain for you and your teammates for a couple of seconds. That's a neat little trick to mark targets that are about to go behind cover, for example. And you can use that to mark targets that you can see with your eyes, but that your sensors cannot see. So if some targets are under ECM or too far away, at 2,000 meters, for example, it will still work. Case in point. Target spotted. There you go. There is your target. Blue target marker means it's not locked, or green target marker means it's not locked, but somebody used target spotted with the command wheel. And there you can see it lasted about 5 seconds and it's gone. Target spotted. Veteran tip, guys, a lot of people don't know about this, now you do, so there's no reason to not use it. It shares target information with your team and it helps you gain the tactical advantage. One thing is also a thing, and that's called auto target. If you don't have a current target and you're looking at a target, give it a couple of seconds and it will automatically target that thing that you're seeing, the first thing that you're seeing. Target acquired. There you go. Didn't have to press a single button, automatically acquired the target. I don't know why I didn't do that beforehand, but well, there you go. So that's also a way to get target locks, and might help you guys lock a target if you forget in the heat of battle. But the best scenario for you guys is you're walking around, you come across an enemy, press R immediately. Mark that target for yourself, share the information with your teammates, and even better, target spotted. Practice this move until it gets into muscle memory. You hold the E button to bring up the command wheel. Top right corner, enemy spotted. Very important. Very simple thing to do, a lot of people don't know about it. So, we talked about radar, we've talked about range. Let's talk about what actually blocks targets from showing up on radar. Well, there are a couple of things. There's ECM, and there is stealth, and also radar jamming, but that's a separate thing, and that's very just happening on incursion, so let's forget about that. ECM is a subsystem that you can equip on ECM capable mechs, and it will basically project a bubble 120 meters around you, in which targets cannot be targeted from further away by anybody that's looking at them. You have to have other means to counter that ECM then. For example, by hitting them with a PPC that will disrupt the ECM bubble for a couple of seconds, or by keeping a tag laser on the target, or by hitting it with an arc beacon, or shorter range if you have an ECM capable mech yourself and you switch your ECM from disrupt to counter mode, where it will counter one enemy ECM that will basically dissolve that bubble. Or, of course, you could use an active probe that will allow you to target, it will also only counter one ECM and allow you to target one of these targets under the bubble. On the other side, stealth tech is a little bit of a different thing. It requires a mech that has ECM installed, that has the specific stealth subsystems installed, and that will basically make you invisible for all intents and purposes. You will not show up on the radar, but you will also not be getting any radar data from your teammates, so you're basically running around in your own little bubble. However, even mechs under stealth, what have we learned? Aim, E, top right, target spotted, that still works. Even with little scout stealth mechs, it's just hard to do because you need to have your targeting cursor on that target and make that move very quickly. And if somebody's running around at 150 kph, it can be quite tricky, but it can be done, and it can be a huge help to your team. Okay, so now we've talked about radar and how things show up on radar. Let's talk about the extended radar, and that is the Minimap. Now, let's bring up the Minimap right here. As I said, we see an outline of the battlefield. What we also see is the mech weight class. And the easiest way you can discern the different weight classes is if it's a hollowed out target icon, it's a light mech. If it's crossed out both ways, it's a fat assault mech. If it's standing up like a reed, it's a medium-sized mech. And if it's lying down because it's a little bit too fat, that's a heavy mech. Very simple. There you go. That will help you remember. What you can also do on the minimap, you can toggle the info panel that will bring up mechs and nicknames on the map, but it's a lot of times very convoluted, so I would not recommend you do that. You can pan the map if you hold down the right mouse button. You can zoom the minimap if you just use your mouse wheel. And that's basically it. What you can do, however, is you could take Lance or Company Command and issue orders that people see on the radar. For example, left mouse button click, you say, Alpha Lance right here, I want you to attack this position.
Attack is primary.
Yep, and then these guys will all see on their minimap and even on their little radar in the cockpit that you should go to this area. It would also work for mechs, for example. So let's bring up the command wheel. We could say attack, we can say help, this is negative. So, there we go, we just gave the team the order to attack this target. Or we could give the team the order to move somewhere. Let's see. It seems like these are not available right now for me, but they will be available if I use this map. So let's remove this order, but we can say, for example, here, launch a UAV to scout.
Requesting surveillance.
Or drop an artillery strike here, but you can only do one order per lance. So maybe I can use the command wheel right now because it's only yes. Okay, so you can, as you can see right here, you can only use one order per lance. So if I want some scouting done right on this position right here on this little hill, then we can just say request UAV, and it will actually put it on your target. Very important. When you're placing orders, it will put it on your current targets. So if I want to place the order somewhere else, first we have to remove it, and then we place it.
Requesting surveillance.
And now it puts the target at the spot that we're looking and aiming at. So if you have a target selected, just like if you're not in company command, let me just relinquish command real quick. If you have a target selected, you don't even have to look at it perfectly. You can still do the enemy spotted move.
Target spotted.
Without being on target. But as you guys know now, you can also spot targets on the minimap for your teammates with just aiming at them and using the enemy spotted command, even though you can't see them. Now, let's talk about the minimap. How does it help us? It tells us a little bit of a story of the battlefield. It tells us what we see and what we don't see. And you guys, as players of this game, need to get in the habit to regularly check your minimap. And what do I mean by regularly? Make it a habit to check it before you consider pushing into an area that you know might have enemies, before you consider attacking a certain position, before you consider going to a certain position. And even in a battle, at least every 10 seconds, take a quick look at that minimap, because there are weird things that happen in engagements in Mechwarrior Online. For me, as an assault mech pilot, for example, I like assault mechs. What happens very often is the so-called rotato-potato, where because of a map having a set of a circular layout, I can show you guys really quick. This map, for example, Canyon Network, is one of these maps that has like a little bit of a circular layout. We have a central area right here, and then we've got these two canyons. This canyon has a ramp leading up here, and then from here there's another canyon that leads up here. And as you can see, there's a wonderful way to just run around the center all day. That is what's called rotato-potato. And the problem for assault mechs is that they're slow. So if your fast-moving teammates start running away this way and you're still back over there, the fast runners on the enemy team will catch up behind you and just literally bite you in the steel buttocks. So it is really important for you, especially with slower mechs, to see where your team is, where they are holding positions, and if they start moving. Because in most quick play matches, guys, you will recognize your team will start moving without anybody saying anything. I like to call it the sneaky silent fart teammates, because they just quietly mosey away. And all of a sudden you wonder, hey, I'm fighting against 5 dudes, and the 5 dudes that I had with me, my teammates, they're all gone. Oh, they're over there. So, in order to avoid this, make it a habit to regularly look at your radar, to at certain intervals always check your radar so you don't get left behind. As you get more experience in the game, you will also be able to tell certain things from the radar. For example, you will be able to tell, is this group of enemies that you can see on the radar big enough that you can go into it? Is this group of that you see too big for you to jump in, even if you have teammates around? It is based on quick decision making based on what you see on the radar. And as soon as you get familiar more with all the different spawn points of the maps, you will also be able to see quickly, for example, if a scout is going somewhere and there's nothing on the radar, that means that the teammates of the enemy team might be amassing themselves in a completely different area of the map, that they might go against some unusual tactics. So it's important to understand what you're seeing and what you're not seeing, and it's very important for mechs to make sure they properly target and they properly share targeting information, mark the targets, and of course use voice comms to talk about what they see. Share the information, guys. Radar and minimap plus comms, very important and one of the keys to winning matches. Well, we've talked for a little bit. I don't want to go any deeper into this stuff. I think we've touched on most of the important things. If we forgot anything, put it down into the comments down below. Other than that, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this guide. Hope you guys learned something new. And if that was the case, let me know as well. And also let me know what you would like to see as the next topic. This has been TTB. Take care.